Well, hi everybody. Great to be with you today. My name is Christopher Cass and I'm coming to you live from the British countryside. I think you'd agree with me, it's quite a pleasant little sight here with the trees and everything else. But anyway, on this devotional today, I want to share with you an encounter that happened to me with the Lord and how it changed my life and helped me with my devotional life in walking with God and learning to be intimate with Him, learning how to abide with Him. And this type of thing. So this is what I want to share with you today with all of you at Harvest City. Thanks to Pastor Glenn for inviting me to come on here and share with you. It's a great pleasure to be with you all. Okay, so I was in my house many years ago and all of a sudden I heard the voice of the Lord speak to me, and it was this: Chris, why don't you do something novel today? And I sort of sat there a bit puzzled and I'm thinking, okay, Lord, what's that? And He said, read the Bible. There was this tone in His voice like that. And I'm like, oh. So I blew the dust off my Bible, opened it up. Hadn't been open for a while, much to my shame, but it hadn't. And I said, okay, Lord, still feeling a bit sort of like, should have been reading the Word, really. Reading the Word. I said, what do you want me to read? And Old and New Testament. He said New. I thought, well, that narrows it down a bit. I said, okay. So I turned to the New Testament. I said, what book shall I read from? He said, Galatians. Oh, okay. Open Galatians. I said, what chapter shall I read? And he said, chapter 5. I said, all right then. And then the next thing I actually heard God say to me was, read. Sometimes we need a little bit of encouragement to get into the Word and things like that, don't we? But what He was doing, He was trying to help me. And he speaks to me like that sometimes with a bit of humour and all the rest of it, because He knows how to deal with me directly. And so anyway, I began to read and God began to open my eyes to something that I'd never seen before. How many of you have been trying to follow God? You've done your best. You've been doing things, but you try and you fail. You try and you fail. And oh God, I'll never do that again. And then in all sincerity, you really try and then you fail again. And then you go away thinking, oh, am I ever going to get this right? And ever been in that position, any of you there? I know I have. Anyway, so the Lord took me to His Word, Galatians chapter 5. And I think it starts about verse 14, but it says these words. Now catch this. Put this in your heart today. It says this. And in this passage, you probably read it. It talks about what the lust of the flesh and all this kind of stuff, what the flesh looks like, anger, malice, rage, all these different things, what attributes of the flesh. But then after that, we have the fruit of the Spirit mentioned by the Apostle Paul. But here's the key. God said to me, read. I began to read. And it says this: walk in the Spirit, and then you will not fulfill the lust of the flesh. And you know what, folks? That day a light bulb went on for me. So God, it's not about me just trying hard in my own strength then. It's about me walking in the Spirit. And then I will not do the things I really don't want to do. He said, yes. And so then God took me on a great journey of learning what the phrase walk in the Spirit means. And then you will not fulfill the lust of the flesh. So what does it mean? Because people say, well, walk in the Spirit, brother. And it's like, well, okay, how do I walk in the Spirit? Somebody please tell me. And God took me on a great journey and began to explain to me what that really meant and how to practically live that out in my life. Now, I'll give you just a couple of things here just to help you on your way. And perhaps we'll talk again another time. But walking in the Spirit, you do things that aid your spiritual life. For example, prayer. Spend time in prayer with the Lord. You notice in Acts 6:4, the apostles, they said this: we are going to give ourselves to the ministry of the Word and to prayer. So there's something powerful about when we begin to engage in spiritual activities, spiritual disciplines. And so what I want to share with you is how you can really build up your spiritual life. See, we're not called to just wrestle in our own strength and try and be a good person and a good Christian. We're actually told to engage in things, engage our spirit man, our life, our body, our soul in things, and that is what helps to keep us walking on the narrow path, if you like. So, for example, prayer, reading the Word of God. You see, if you sow to the Spirit, you reap from the Spirit. If you sow to the flesh, you reap from the flesh. And so, in other words, if you do godly, healthy, spiritual things, then that's what you receive back into your life, if you like. That you cultivate those things, you strengthen those things. But if you engage in other things that are not like that, then you empower that in your life. So remember today, walk in the Spirit, Galatians chapter 5, I think it's about verse 14. Walk in the Spirit, and then you will not fulfill the lust of the flesh. God bless you. Bye-bye.